Commander Zeftal pressed his crystal hands against the cold metal console. His ship, the Harmony's Light, shook as another explosion rocked the hull. Through the transparent walls of the bridge, he could see the flames consuming his homeworld below. The beautiful blue oceans that had sparkled like jewels for millions of years now burned with an ugly orange fire. The Vexthal ships moved across the sky like dark clouds, dropping their terrible seeds onto the planet's surface. Where the seeds landed, the ground turned black and began to bubble. The invaders were not just destroying his world, they were eating it. "Sir, we have lost contact with the Third Fleet," reported his communications officer Velana. Her voice trembled with fear. "The 7th colony has gone dark, the capital city, ... She could not finish the sentence. Zeftal knew what she meant. The capital city was gone. 10 billion of his people had lived there just 3 days ago. Now, there was nothing but a growing pit of black matter that consumed everything it touched. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked quietly. 12 research vessels, sir. 5 mining ships. 2 colony transports full of refugees. Velana's crystalline body flickered with the blue light that showed deep sadness in their species. "The Vexthal destroyed our entire military fleet in the first attack." Zeftal closed his eyes. His people had never built weapons of war. Why would they? The Kethmer Confederation had lived in peace for over 50,000 years. They had 7 different species working together, sharing knowledge and resources. Their ships were built for exploration and science, not fighting. When the Vexthal first appeared at the edge of their space 3 months ago, the Confederation had tried to talk to them. They sent their best diplomats with gifts of art and music. The Vexthal had eaten the diplomatic ship and everyone on it. Then they had begun their systematic destruction of every world in Confederation space. "Sir, the quantum beacon is ready," called Dr. Hemloth from the science station. The old scientist's body was dim with exhaustion. He had been working for days without rest to complete their last hope. The quantum beacon was experimental technology, designed to send messages across the galaxy instantly. The plan was simple. Send a distress call to their allies in the Velinari Republic. The Velinari had advanced weapons and strong fleets. They had promised to help the Confederation if trouble ever came, but the Velinari Republic was on the other side of the galaxy. Even if they received the message immediately, it would take them months to reach Confederation space. By then, there would be nothing left to save. "What are our chances, Doctor?" Zeftal asked. Dr. Hemloth's body flickered with the purple light of uncertainty. "The quantum field is unstable, Commander. We have never sent a signal this far before. The message might not reach the Velinari at all. Or it might reach them but be too weak to understand. Or what? Or it might go somewhere else entirely. Quantum signals can bounce through space in unexpected ways. We could be sending our message to empty space, or to a hostile species, or to ... The doctor paused. "Well, we simply do not know." Another explosion shook the ship. This time, the lights went out for several seconds before the emergency power came on. When the lights returned, Zeftal could see that 2 more of his homeworld cities were now burning. "Do it," he said. Dr. Hemloth looked surprised. "Sir, if the signal reaches the wrong species, we could be inviting another enemy to our space. We could be making things worse." "Look around you, Doctor," Zeftal said, pointing to the burning world below. "How could things possibly get worse?" The doctor nodded and began working at his console. The quantum beacon was a beautiful device, made of living crystal that sang with harmonic frequencies. It had taken the combined knowledge of all 7 Confederation species to build it. Now it might be their only chance for survival. "I am encoding our coordinates, our language patterns, and our situation," Dr. Hemloth said as he worked. "The message will include our history, our culture, and our desperate need for help." Any species that receives it will understand that we are peaceful and in great danger. How long until we can send it? The beacon needs to charge for 10 more minutes. But sir, once we activate it, the Vextil will detect the energy signature. They will know where we are. Zefto looked at his crew. These were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. They had spent their lives studying the stars and making beautiful art. Now they were the last hope of their entire civilization. Then we had better hope someone receives our message quickly, he said. On the surface of the planet below, the Vexthal ships continued their work. They were not like any enemy the Confederation had ever imagined. The Vexthal did not want territory or resources in the way other species understood them. They wanted to consume everything. Every plant, every animal, every building, every piece of technology. They turned it all into more of themselves. The Confederation had tried to fight back. At first, their mining lasers and construction tools had been turned into weapons. But these improvised weapons were like throwing stones at a tsunami. The Vexthal ships were alive, growing stronger with every world they consumed. Quantum beacon is ready. Sir, Dr. Hemloth announced. Send the message, Zeftal ordered. The crystal beacon began to glow with a bright white light. The harmonic frequencies it produced were so beautiful that several crew members began to cry. The beacon sang the song of their entire civilization, broadcasting it across the galaxy in a desperate plea for help. The message was simple. We are the Kethmar Confederation. We are a peaceful alliance of 7 species. We are dying. An enemy, called the Vexthul, is consuming our worlds. Please help us. We will share all our knowledge with anyone who can save us. Our coordinates are attached. Please hurry. The beacon pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then it went dark. Message sent. Dr. Hemloth reported. It will take several hours to know if anyone received it. Sir, Vexthal ships are moving toward us, Villana called out. They detected our signal. Estimated time until they reach us, 47 minutes. Zeftal nodded. He had expected this. The quantum beacon had been their last act of defiance. Now all they could do was wait and hope that somewhere in the galaxy, someone had heard their cry for help. As the Vexthal ships grew larger in the view screen, Zeftal thought about his people's history. They had been so proud of their peaceful civilization. They had believed that intelligence and cooperation could solve any problem. They had been wrong, but maybe, just maybe, someone out there was different. Someone who could do what the Confederation could not. Someone who could fight back against the darkness and win. The quantum message raced face, carrying the desperate hope of a dying civilization. It passed through star systems and nebulae, bounced off gravitational fields, and twisted through dimensions that had no names. The message was meant for the Velinari Republic, a known ally with advanced technology and powerful fleets. But quantum signals do not always go where they are supposed to go. Instead, the message flew toward a small, unremarkable star system on the edge of what most galactic civilizations called the Dark Sector. A place where no sane species would ever go. A place that was home to a small blue planet where the most dangerous predators in the galaxy had learned to work together. The message was about to reach Earth. Dr. Lisa Grant was drinking her 3rd cup of coffee when the impossible happened. The massive radio telescopes at the Deep Space Communications Array in New Mexico began screaming alerts that she had never heard before. Every screen in the facility flashed red warnings. What the hell is going on? She shouted over the noise of alarms. Her assistant, Dr. Pete Johnson, ran to the main computer terminal. His hands flew over the keyboard as he tried to understand what they were seeing. Lisa, you need to look at this. The computers are detecting a signal from outside our solar system. Space junk, satellite interference. Check the equipment, Lisa said automatically. In 15 years of working at the facility, she had seen hundreds of false alarms. No, listen to me. This is not equipment failure. Pete's voice was shaking. The signal is artificial. It is clearly made by intelligent beings. And Lisa, it is not from anywhere in our galaxy that we have ever seen before. Lisa dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but she did not notice. She ran to Pete's station and looked at the data flowing across the screen. Her scientific training told her this was impossible, but the evidence was right in front of her eyes. "My God," she whispered. "How long has it been transmitting?" The signal arrived 18 minutes ago. It transmitted for exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds, then stopped. "But Lisa, that is not the strangest part. What do you mean?" Pete pointed to another screen. "The signal contains language patterns, mathematics, star charts, and something that looks like a message for help." Within an hour, the facility was swarming with military personnel. General Paul Carter of Space Command arrived by helicopter with a team of scientists, linguists, and intelligence officers. The small research facility had become the most important place on Earth. Dr. Alana Rodriguez, a xenobiologist from MIT, worked with the linguistics team to decode the alien message. She had spent her career studying the possibility of alien life, but never thought she would actually encounter it. "The message is incredibly sophisticated," she explained to General Carter. "These beings have mathematics that is centuries ahead of ours. Their language uses harmonic frequencies that suggest they communicate through sound and light at the same time." "What are they saying?" the general asked. "They are asking for help. They say they are a peaceful alliance of 7 different species. Something called the Vexthal is destroying their worlds. They are offering to share all their knowledge with anyone who can save them." General Carter studied the star charts that the aliens had sent. "How far away are they?" "Based on their coordinates, approximately 400 light years from Earth." "But General, that is not the most important thing." "What is?" Elena took a deep breath. "They sent this message using quantum communication technology. That means they can send messages instantly across space. If we can figure out how to respond, we can talk to them in real time." Within 6 hours, every major government on Earth knew about the alien message. Within 12 hours, the United Nations had authorized an immediate response mission. Within 24 hours, Captain Jake Morrison was preparing to take the exploration. Vessel Ranger on humanity's first journey to another star system. The Ranger was not humanity's most advanced ship, but it was the fastest one that could be prepared quickly. Morrison had handpicked his crew from the best officers in Space Command. They knew they were making history. "Ladies and gentlemen," Morrison said to his crew as they prepared to depart, "we are about to make first contact with an alien civilization. Remember that we represent all of humanity. Whatever we find out there, we handle it with intelligence and courage." Lieutenant Commander Amy Brooks, the ship's tactical officer, raised her hand. "Sir, what if this is a trap? What if these aliens are not as peaceful as they claim?" "Then we will be ready," Morrison replied. "But everything we have learned about their message suggests they are genuinely in trouble. We go in prepared for anything, but we go in as helpers, not conquerors." The journey to Kethmer space took the Ranger 3 weeks using humanity's most advanced faster-than-light drive. When they arrived at the coordinates the aliens had provided, Morrison and his crew found something that horrified them. "Jesus Christ," whispered engineer Tony Walsh as he stared at the main view screen. "What happened here?" Before them lay the ruins of what had once been a thriving star system. 3 planets were nothing but floating debris. The 4th planet was half gone, its remaining surface covered in some kind of black, moving substance. The space around the system was filled with wreckage from thousands of ships. "Sir, I am detecting one intact vessel," reported Brooks from her station. "It appears to be adrift near the edge of the system. The ship design does not match anything in our databases. Take us closer, but keep our weapons ready," Morrison ordered Dot as the Ranger approached the alien ship. Morrison could see that it was unlike anything humanity had ever built. The vessel seemed to be made of crystal and metal, fused together in beautiful flowing patterns. It was clearly damaged, with several sections dark and lifeless. "Sir, they are hailing us," called Communications Officer Steve Miller. "Put them on screen." The view screen flickered, and Morrison found himself looking at something that took his breath away. The alien was beautiful in a way that was completely inhuman. Its body seemed to be made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. It had no face as humans understood faces, but somehow Morrison could sense its emotions. "I am Sub-Commander Talesh of the Kethmer Confederation," the alien sighed. Its voice was like music, but Morrison could hear the exhaustion and despair in it. "Are you the ones who received our message for help? I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Ranger." "Yes, we received your message. We have come to help." The alien's crystal body began to flicker rapidly with different colors. Morrison's universal translator was working, but it could not interpret the light patterns. "You came," Talesh said, and her voice was full of wonder. "Across all that distance. You actually came, but I must warn you, humans. The Vexthol are more dangerous than anything your species has ever faced. They have destroyed our entire civilization. Our military, our colonies, our homeworlds, everything." Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had come on the mission as the xenobiology specialist, stepped forward. "Sub-Commander Talesh, we would like to come aboard your ship. We want to learn about your people and understand what happened here." "Yes, please. But you must understand, we are the last survivors. This ship contains fewer than 300 individuals from 7 different species. We are all that remains of a civilization that once numbered in the trillions." An hour later, Morrison and his team were aboard the alien ship. The interior was even more beautiful than the outside, with walls that seemed to grow like living things and corridors that hummed with soft music. But everywhere they looked, they could see the signs of desperate flight and hasty repairs. Talesh led them to what she called the memory chamber, a room where the history of the Kethmer Confederation was stored in crystal matrices. As Elena studied the records, she began to understand the true scope of what had happened. "Captain," she called Morrison over to her station, "you need to see this." The Kethmer Confederation controlled over 200 star systems. They had a population of 4 trillion individuals across 7 species. They had no military in the way we understand it. Their most powerful weapons were mining lasers and construction tools. "What do you mean, no military?" "I mean they were completely peaceful. They had no concept of war as we know it. When the Vexthul attacked, they tried to negotiate. They sent diplomats with gifts. The Vexthul ate the diplomats and used their knowledge to attack more efficiently." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. How long did their civilization last against the Vexthul? 3 months. An entire galactic civilization destroyed in 3 months. Tony Walsh had been studying the wreckage of Kethmer weapons and ships. He walked over to Morrison with a puzzled expression on his face. "Captain, I have been analyzing their technology. These people are incredibly advanced in some ways. Their faster-than-light drives are centuries ahead of ours. Their computers are like nothing we have ever seen. But their weapons? What about their weapons?" "Sir, their most powerful military ship had weapons that would barely scratch the paint on a human destroyer. Their armor is designed to protect against space debris and radiation, not actual combat. It is like they never learned how to build things to kill other things." Morrison looked around the memory chamber at the beautiful glowing records of a peaceful civilization that had lasted for 50,000 years. Then he thought about humanity's own history. Wars, weapons, conflict, survival of the fittest. Everything that had made humans strong had made the Kethmer weak. "Sub-Commander Talesh," Morrison said carefully, "we need to know everything about the Vexthul, their weapons, their ships, their tactics. Can you show us?" Talesh's crystal body flickered with what Morrison was learning to recognize as fear. Captain Morrison, I must ask you something first. Your species, humanity. You said you came to help us. But what kind of beings are you? Your ship carries weapons that are more powerful than anything the Confederation ever built. Your crew moves and talks like warriors. Are you a military species? Colonel Sandra Price stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the bridge of the Kethmer refugee ship. She had seen many alien environments during her 20 years in the military, but nothing had prepared her for this. The walls seemed to be alive, pulsing with soft light. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Everything was designed for beauty and comfort, not function and survival. Colonel, welcome aboard, Captain Morrison said as he greeted her. I need you to see what we are dealing with. Sandra had been sent from Earth with a full military assessment team when Morrison's initial reports reached Space Command. Her job was simple: figure out how to fight the Vexthul and protect humanity's new alien allies. But as she studied the data from the Kethmer computers, she began to understand that this situation was unlike anything in human military history. Show me their weapons, she said to Subcommander Tull single quotes Esh. The crystal alien led Sandra to what the Kethmer called their armory. Sandra expected to see guns, missiles, armor, and other military equipment. Instead, she found tools. Beautiful, elegant tools designed for mining, construction, and scientific research. This is your most powerful weapon? Sandra asked, pointing to a device that looked like a crystalline flower. Yes, Telesh replied. It can cut through solid rock using focused harmonic frequencies. Our military used them to disable enemy ships by cutting their hull plating. Sandra picked up the device and examined it. Her combat computer automatically analyzed its capabilities. This weapon has an effective range of 50 meters and would take approximately 4 minutes to cut through. Standard human armor plating. Is that good? Talesh asked hopefully. Sandra was quiet for a moment. How could she explain that a human infantry soldier carried a sidearm more powerful than the Kethmer's best military weapon? Sub-Commander, I need to show you something. May I demonstrate human weapons technology? Telesh agreed, and Sandra led her to the shuttle bay where a piece of Vexthul wreckage had been brought aboard for study. Sandra drew her standard military sidearm, a weapon that every human soldier carried as backup equipment. This is a basic human pistol, she explained. It fires metal projectiles using chemical propulsion. She aimed at the Vexthul wreckage and fired 3 shots. The alien bio-armor that had protected the Vexthul from all Kethmer weapons shattered like glass. The projectiles punched completely through the wreckage and embedded themselves in the shuttle bay wall. Talesh's crystal body went completely dark. In Kethmer biology, this meant total shock. That is your weakest weapon? She whispered. One of them, yes. Dr. Kevin Lee arrived on the refugee ship 2 days later with a team of psychologists and anthropologists. His job was to help the Kethmer understand human nature and prepare them for what was coming. The first meeting did not go well. I need to explain something about humans, Kevin said to the assembled Kethmer leadership. My species evolved on what we call a death world. What is a death world? Asked Elder Zim Thai, the oldest surviving member of the Confederation Council. A planet where almost everything is trying to kill everything else. Earth has predators that can kill and eat creatures 50 times their size. We have weather that can destroy entire cities. We have diseases that can wipe out entire populations. Natural disasters that can split continents. The Kethmer listened in horrified silence as Kevin described Earth's environment. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, mass extinctions. He explained how humans had survived by becoming the most efficient predators on their planet. Humans are persistence hunters, Kevin explained. We chase our prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We can run for hours without stopping. We can track wounded animals for days. We never give up. But you are civilized now, Talesh said desperately. You have science and art and culture. Surely you have moved beyond such primitive behavior. Kevin smiled sadly. Sub-Commander, human children play games that simulate warfare. Our entertainment consists of stories about conflict and survival. Our sports involve ritualized combat. We have been at peace for less than 50 years in our entire recorded history. Then why did you come to help us? Elder Zimthai asked. Because humans also evolved to protect our pack, Kevin replied. We are loyal to those we consider family, and you asked for help. That makes you our responsibility now. The Kethmer began to understand that they had not been rescued. They had been adopted by apex predators. Captain Rachel Stone commanded the human destroyer Thunderbolt, one of 3 warships that had arrived with Colonel Price's assessment team. She was leading the first joint patrol with Kethmer ships when they encountered a Vexthal scout fleet. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, reported her sensor operator. 15 Vexthal bioships, medium class. They are moving toward the refugee convoy. Rachel looked at her tactical display. The Vexthal ships were each the size of a human cruiser, with thick organic armor and weapons that fired living projectiles. According to Kethmer records, a single Vexthal ship could destroy 5 Confederation vessels. Kethmer ships this. Is Captain Stone. Move your vessels to a safe distance. We will handle this. Captain Stone, came Talesh's voice over the communications channel. There are 15 enemy ships. You only have 3. Please wait for reinforcements. Sub-Commander, we appreciate your concern, but this is a routine patrol action. Please. Stand by. Rachel turned to her weapons officer. Lieutenant Barnes, load standard anti-ship missiles. Target the lead Vexthal vessels. Ma'am, should we not try to communicate with them first? Asked her communications officer. Rachel looked at him with surprise. Lieutenant Miller, these creatures have eaten entire civilizations. We are not here to talk. The engagement lasted 18 minutes. The human ships moved through the Vexthal formation like wolves hunting sheep. Their missiles punched through bio-armor that had never been penetrated by Kethmer weapons. Their energy weapons carved the alien ships apart with surgical precision. The Vexthal tried to fight back, but their living projectiles could not penetrate human defensive shields. Their bioships, evolved to overwhelm peaceful civilizations, had no answer for opponents who had designed every system for maximum lethality. When the battle was over, all 15 Vexthal ships were destroyed. The human vessels had not even been scratched. Sub-Commander Talesh, Rachel called over the communications channel. Threat eliminated. Are your ships intact? There was a long pause before Talesh replied. Captain Stone, in 3 months of war, the Confederation never won a single battle against the Vexthal. You just destroyed 15 of their ships in 18 minutes. How is this possible? Rachel was quiet for a moment. How could she explain that this had not even qualified as a real fight by human standards? Sub-Commander, the Vexthal are predators. Evolved to hunt peaceful species. Humans are predators evolved to hunt other predators. Back on Earth, Admiral Helen Cross was reading Colonel Price's initial assessment report. The document was classified at the highest levels and would reshape humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy. The Kethmer Confederation represents a typical galactic civilization, Price had written. Peaceful, scientifically advanced, completely unprepared for warfare. Their technology is superior to ours in many areas, but they have never developed effective weapons or military tactics. The Vexthal swarm represents a specialized predator species. They are efficient at consuming civilizations like the Kethmer, but they have no experience fighting opponents who can fight back effectively. Recommendation: humanity appears to possess military capabilities far exceeding any known galactic species. We should proceed with the assumption that we are the apex predators in this region of space. Admiral Cross set down the report and looked out her window at the night sky. Somewhere out there, humanity's first alien allies were learning what it meant to be protected by Deathworlders. She thought about the Vexthul and wondered how they would react when they realized their easy prey had found guardians. She thought about the other civilizations that must exist in the galaxy, all of them probably as peaceful and unprepared as the Kethmer. Most of all, she thought about humanity's new role in the galaxy. They had set out to make contact with alien life and offer friendship. Instead, they had discovered that they might be the most dangerous species in known space. The question was, what would they do with that power? Commander Frank Davis was already planning the answer. Operation Cleansing. Fire was humanity's solution to the Vexthul problem. It was not a plan to defeat the enemy. It was a plan to make them extinct. Davis studied star charts showing the location of every known Vexthul hive world and breeding station. His plan was simple and terrible. Destroy them all. Hunt down every single Vexthul ship and base until none remained. Make them a warning to any other species that might threaten humanity's new allies. The Kethmer had asked for help against an enemy that was destroying their civilization. They were about to learn that humans did not just defeat their enemies. They erased them from existence. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when you threatened something that humanity had decided to protect. Admiral Helen Cross stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiance and watched the largest human fleet in history drop out of faster-than-light travel. 200 warships appeared in Kethmer space like metal stars coming to life. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets if necessary. The Kethmer refugees watched from their crystal ships with a mixture of awe and terror. They had thought Captain Morrison's small exploration vessel was impressive. Now they saw what humanity looked like when it decided to go to war. Sub-Commander Talish, Admiral Cross said over the communications channel, "I am Admiral Helen Cross of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are here to solve your Vexthul problem permanently." Talish's crystal body flickered with colors that the human translators could not interpret. "Admiral, there are so many ships. Are you planning to fight the entire Vexthul swarm?" "No, Sub-Commander. We are planning to destroy it." Lieutenant Casey Turner was 23 years old and fresh out of the Space Academy. She had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in the war, infiltrating a Vexthul hive ship to gather intelligence. Most of her fellow officers thought she was crazy. Casey thought she was lucky to get such an important assignment. "Remember, Turner," Colonel Price briefed her before the mission, "we need to know how the Vexthul reproduce, how they communicate, and what their long-term plans are. Get in, get the data, get out." "Yes, ma'am." "What if I encounter resistance?" Colonel Price handed Casey a standard human assault rifle and 4 grenades. "Lieutenant, you are going into a ship full of creatures that have eaten entire civilizations. If you encounter resistance, you have permission to use maximum force." Casey infiltrated the hive ship using the captured Vexthul shuttle. The interior was like a nightmare made real. The walls were alive, pulsing with veins that carried nutrients throughout the ship. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something that might have been fear. She made her way to what her sensors identified as the ship's memory center. The Vexthul stored information in living brain clusters that hung from the ceiling like fruit. Casey carefully extracted samples and began downloading their contents. What she found changed everything. The Vexthul had not always been monsters. The brain clusters contained memories going back thousands of years. The Vexthul had once been peaceful, like the Kethmer. They had built beautiful cities and created art and music. They had been explorers and scientists, but something had come from the galactic core. Something vast and hungry that consumed everything in its path. The Vexthul had fought this enemy for centuries, but they could not win. In desperation, they had made a terrible choice. They had changed themselves into parasites, hoping to survive by consuming other species. It had worked. The Vexthul had survived by becoming monsters. But the thing they were running from was still out there, still coming, still consuming entire star clusters as it moved outward from the galactic core. "My God," Casey whispered as she read the data. "They are not invaders. They are refugees." A sound behind her made Casey turn around. 3 Vexthul warriors stood in the doorway, their bio-armor glistening with organic weapons. They should have torn her apart instantly. Instead, they just stood there, watching her with what looked like resignation. Casey raised her weapon, but something in their posture made her pause. These creatures were not attacking. They were surrendering. One of the Vexthul spoke in a voice like breaking glass. "You are from the Deathworld species. The ones who came to help the Crystal Singers. You can talk? We remember language. We remember many things we wish we could forget. Are you here to kill us?" Casey looked at the alien that had been part of a species that destroyed entire civilizations. "Are you going to try to stop me?" "No, we are tired of being monsters. We have been running and eating and destroying for so long that we have forgotten who we used to be. Maybe it is time for it to end." Dr. Marcus Webb studied Casey's intelligence data aboard the research ship Discovery. What he found terrified him more than the Vexthul had ever managed to do. "Admiral," he reported to Helen Cross over the secure channel, "the Vexthul are running from something called the Devourers. According to their records, this entity has consumed approximately 12% of the galaxy over the past 10,000 years. "What kind of entity are we talking about, Doctor?" "Near as I can tell, it is a hive mind that converts matter directly into more of itself. It does not just eat planets, Admiral. It eats stars, black holes, entire solar systems. And it is heading in our direction." Admiral Cross was quiet for a long moment. "How long do we have?" "Based on the Vexthul data, the leading edge of the Devourers will reach this part of the galaxy in approximately 200 years. And the Vexthul thought becoming parasites would help them survive this. They were desperate, Admiral. They chose to become monsters rather than be consumed completely. In a way, it worked. They have been ahead of the Devourers for 3,000 years. Captain Ben Rodriguez led the assault on the primary Vexthul breeding world. The planet was a nightmare of organic technology and living structures that pulsed with unnatural life. Billions of Vexthul larvae were being grown in vast pools of biological matter. "This is it," Rodriguez told his Marines as they prepared for the ground assault. "This is where they make more of themselves. We destroy this world, we cut their reproduction rate by 70%. The battle was over before it really began." Human Marines walked through Vexthul defensive positions, like they were clearing weeds from a garden. The aliens' bioweapons could not penetrate human armor. Their acid sprays and poison gases were neutralized by human environmental suits. Their living weapons were destroyed by human explosives that turned organic matter into ash. But Major Lisa Thompson, the operations intelligence officer, noticed something strange. The Vexthul were not fighting with the desperation of a species fighting for survival. They were fighting with the resignation of a species that knew it was already doomed. "Sir," she reported to Captain Rodriguez, "the enemy resistance is not what we expected. They are fighting, but it is like they do not really want to win." "What do you mean?" "I mean they are going through the motions of defense, but they are not using their most effective tactics. It is like they want us to destroy them." Rodriguez thought about Casey Turner's report from the hive ship, the Vexthul who had surrendered. To her, who had seemed tired of being monsters. "Maybe they do," he said quietly. "The systematic destruction of the Vexthul swarm took 6 months. Human fleets swept through space like a cleansing fire, destroying hive ships and breeding worlds. With ruthless efficiency. The aliens who had terrorized the galaxy for 3,000 years were being hunted to extinction by predators from a small blue world. The Kethmer watched the campaign with growing horror. They had asked for help, but this was not help. This was extermination on a scale that their peaceful minds could barely comprehend. Admiral Cross, Sub-Commander Talesh said during one of their regular briefings, "Do you not think there might be another way? Perhaps we could negotiate with the remaining Vex, though. Find some peaceful solution." Admiral Cross looked at the crystal alien with something that might have been pity. "Sub-Commander, in 6 months the Vexthul have destroyed 3 more star systems and consumed billions of lives. They cannot be negotiated with because they are no longer truly alive. They are a weapon that their own species created to survive something worse. But surely some of them could be saved. Return to what they were before, perhaps. But that is not humanity's decision to make. The Vexthul chose to become monsters to survive. Now they must live with the consequences of that choice." The final Vexthul hive was destroyed on a Tuesday. Commander Sarah Walsh led the assault personally, boarding the massive bioship with a team of Marines. They found the Vexthul leadership in what had once been a beautiful garden, now twisted into organic machinery. The Vexthul Queen was ancient, her bio-armor grown into the ship itself. She could no longer move, but her mind was still sharp. When she saw the human soldiers, she began to sing. It was a song of mourning, but also of relief. "You have won," she said in a voice like wind through dead leaves. "Our species is extinct. Are you satisfied?" "We are not satisfied," Sarah replied. "We are finished. There is a difference. What will you do now, Deathworld species? Will you take our place as the galaxy's monsters?" Sarah looked around at the twisted organic technology that had once been a peaceful species attempt to survive. "No, we will do what we have always done. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves." The Queen laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. "From what? From the devourers that are coming? You think your weapons and your ships will stop something that has consumed 12% of the galaxy? We will find out." The Queen's bio-armor began to dissolve as her life functions shut down. "Perhaps you will. You are certainly more dangerous than we ever were. But remember, young predators, sometimes the only way to survive is to become something you hate." As the last Vexthul hive ship died around them, Sarah and her Marines made their way back to their shuttle. Behind them, the organic technology that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia crumbled into dust. 6 months after the last Vexthul hive ship died, Ambassador Carol Martinez stood on the observation deck of the new Kethmer homeworld and watched human construction ships building orbital defense platforms. The massive weapons arrays could destroy entire fleets, but to the Kethmer refugees below, they represented safety for the first time in years. "Ambassador," Sub-Commander Talesh said as she approached, "my people are still having difficulty understanding your species. You destroyed the Vexthul so completely that no trace of them remains in the galaxy. Yet you also spent tremendous resources helping us build this new world. Why?" Carol looked down at the planet's surface where human engineers worked alongside Kethmer scientists to construct cities that blended both species' technologies, "because that is what we do, Sub-Commander. We protect our pack, but we are not your pack. We are aliens. We are completely different from you. You asked for help. That made you our responsibility." Talesh's crystal body flickered with the blue light of confusion. After months of working with humans, she still could not understand how the same species that had exterminated the Vexthul with such ruthless efficiency could be so gentle with their allies. Dr. Sean Kelly had been running cultural exchange programs between humans and Kethmer for 4 months. The sessions were difficult. "How do you explain human nature to beings who had never known violence?" "Today we are going to discuss human entertainment," Sean said to a group of young Kethmer. "Specifically, what humans call movies. We understand that humans tell stories for pleasure, said one of the students, a small crystal being named Yenmil. "But why are your stories always about conflict and death?" Sean pulled up a list of popular human films. "Well, let us look at some examples. We have war movies where humans fight other humans, action movies where humans fight criminals, science fiction movies where humans fight aliens or robots, horror movies where humans fight monsters." The Kethmer students looked horrified. "Your species entertains itself by watching simulated violence?" "Yes, and we also have sports, where humans compete against each other in ritualized combat. Football, boxing, martial arts. Even our children's games often involve simulating war. Or hunting." Yenmil's body went completely dark. "How are you not all insane?" Sean smiled sadly. "Because we learn to channel our violent instincts into protecting things we care about. Humans are predators, but we are also pack animals. We are loyal to our family, our friends, our species, and now to our allies. But do you not ever want to hurt us? We are weak. We would be easy prey. That is exactly why we want to protect you," Sean replied. "Humans have a saying, 'The strong protect the weak.' It is one of our most important cultural values." Captain Nick Foster commanded the new Joint Patrol Fleet, human ships operating alongside rebuilt Kethmer vessels. The Kethmer had asked to help with their own defense, so humans had taught them how to build weapons and armor their systems for combat. The process had been painful to watch. The Kethmer were natural pacifists, and every lesson in warfare went against their deepest instincts. But they were learning. "Kethmer vessel Crystal Song, this is Captain Foster," Nick said during a routine patrol. "I am detecting 3 unknown ships approaching from the outer system. Please follow Defensive Protocol 7. "Understood, Captain Foster," came the reply from the Kethmer ship. "Moving to support position." The unknown ships turned out to be refugees from another species called the Thymel. They had heard about the destruction of the Vexthul and came seeking protection. It was the 15th refugee group to arrive in the past month. News of humanity's victory over the Vexthul had spread throughout the galaxy. Peaceful species that had been hiding from the monsters for centuries were emerging from their hiding places. They all wanted the same thing, protection from the Deathworld species that had saved the Kethmer. "Captain Foster," the Thymel leader. "Transmitted, we seek asylum. Our homeworld was consumed by the Devourers 50 years ago. We have been running ever since. We heard that the Crystal Singers found protectors who destroyed the Flesh Eaters." Nick looked at his tactical display. The Thymel ships were barely functional, held together with spare parts and desperation. Their population was small, maybe 50,000 individuals across 6 ships. "Thymel vessels, you are welcome in this system. Please follow our ships to the processing station. We will provide food, medical care, and temporary housing while we arrange permanent settlement. You will truly help us, even though we have nothing to offer in return." Nick thought about the question. The Thymel had no advanced technology, no military strength, no resources that humanity needed. By any logical calculation, they were worthless as allies. "That is not how humans think about it," Nick replied. "You need help, that is enough." Professor Donna Clark's Deep Space Observatory had been monitoring the galactic core for 3 months. When she detected something that made her blood run cold. The gravitational distortions were getting stronger. Whatever the Devourers were, they were coming faster than the Vexthul data had suggested. "Admiral Cross," she reported over the secure channel, "I have bad news. The Devourer advance is accelerating. Based on my calculations, they will reach this sector in approximately 100 years, not 200. "How certain are you of this, Professor?" 97%. "The gravitational waves indicate they are consuming matter at an increasing rate. Each star system they destroy makes them larger and faster." Admiral Cross studied the data from her flagship. The Devourers were not just destroying the galaxy. They were eating it, converting every atom of matter into more of themselves. And they were heading straight for the sector that now contained humanity's new allies. Professor, based on your analysis, what would it take to stop them? Dana was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, I am not sure they can be stopped. The Devourers appear to be a form of self-replicating matter converter. They turn everything they touch into more of themselves. The only way to stop them would be to destroy them completely, all at once, before they can reproduce. And how would we do that? I have no idea. The energy requirements would be enormous. We would need to destroy something the size of a solar system in a matter of seconds. No known technology could accomplish that. General Richard Scott disagreed. He had been studying the Devourer problem for weeks, and he had a plan. It was insane, dangerous, and would require humanity to become something they had never been before. But it might work. The solution is simple, he explained to the Joint Human-Alien Leadership Council. We do not fight the Devourers where they are strong. We fight them where they are weak. I do not understand, said Elder Zimthai, representing the Kefmer Council. The Devourers are powerful because they consume matter and convert it into more of themselves. But that conversion process requires energy. If we can find their power source and destroy it, the entire network should collapse. And where is their power source? Asked Ambassador Martinez. General Scott activated a holographic display showing the galactic core. According to Vex Thul records, the Devourers originated from a region called the Great Dark. My theory is that they are powered by something at the galactic center. Probably the supermassive black hole. The room fell silent. The idea of attacking something at the galactic core was beyond anything any species had ever attempted. General Scott, Talish said carefully, you are talking about traveling 26,000 light years to the most dangerous region of the galaxy to attack an enemy that has consumed trillions of beings. How could such a mission possibly succeed? Because we are humans, Scott replied simply. We do not give up. We do not surrender. And we do not let anything hurt our pack. 3 weeks later, construction began on the largest fleet in galactic history. Human shipyards worked around the clock to build vessels capable of making the journey to the galactic core. The ships would carry the most advanced weapons humanity could design, powered by technology that pushed the laws of physics to their limits. The Kefmer and other refugee species watched the preparations with awe and terror. They had asked for protection, and humanity was preparing to fight a war against something that had consumed 12% of the galaxy, Ambassador Martinez, Telesh said as they watched the construction from the observation deck. Do you truly believe this mission can succeed? Carol looked at the massive ships taking shape in the orbital shipyards. Each vessel was a miracle of engineering, designed to survive conditions that would destroy any other known technology. Subcommander, 6 months ago your people were facing extinction. The Vex Thul had destroyed your entire civilization and were hunting down the survivors. Today, you have a new homeworld, powerful defenses, and the protection of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Do you believe that should have been possible? No, by any reasonable calculation we should all be dead. But you are not dead. You are here, safe, because humans decided you were worth protecting. The Devourers are just another problem to solve. But what if you cannot solve it? What if this enemy is too powerful even for humans? Carol smiled, and for a moment, Talish could see the predator that lurked beneath humanity's civilized surface. Then we will make sure they remember us, Carol said. Humans have a saying, we do not go gentle into that good night.